I think one piece that I gained was some of the people who I ended up talking to, there are people who I like kind of knew, but I would never have approached like a topic this personal with them. And so I ended up really, I think, getting closer with some people who I knew around the school and accessing those people who I normally wouldn't really talk to. And I think a second piece of that was just, this has been something I've cared about, but I've never thought about it as something I could do in my like career. And I don't know what I'm gonna do in college, but I know when I applied to college, I applied to like all engineering schools. And like in high school, I did a lot of STEM stuff. And for my CAPS project, I decided to do something that was more personal. And so being able to access those professionals and see how this is like part of a field has sort of given me that encouragement to maybe explore this as something I could do like as a career or profession. So that was two things, but thanks, Anisha.
I know you said you're just like a high school student and you can't like change every single thing, but I mean, there are teachers in the audience in mental health. Like, what is something that, you know, like one piece of advice or something we could be cognizant of? Maybe it could be as specific as this or just in general when
Yeah, that's interesting. I think like sometimes when I try to talk to people, for example, like sometimes I would reach out to like a kid that's just in my grade and I'd be like, oh, like I'm doing this project, like do you want to talk to me? And like he'd just be like, oh, like there's just one kid who's just like, oh, I'm not Asian enough, like I'm not the right person to talk to. And I think what I eventually like kept saying to people was like, you don't need to share everything personal, and also I don't need you to be an expert either, and there's nothing I'm really looking for. I care more about like your insights and your reactions and what you can contribute to the conversation, because you really do exist in this community. So that's like, I guess the piece of advice is that like I care about what you care about, so like I'm sure there's something you could add to this conversation. But yeah. Yes. I think because I focused on a pretty specific like demographic when I talked about Asian Americans, when I ended up reaching out to talk to people, I think they're really, really open to talking about it, because it was something that like was, I think without me even being there, was really important to them. And I just like kind of created that space where like, can we talk about this like super seriously, and like can we go through like all the stuff that I've been looking at. And I think like being able to access people, it was just like I talked about something that was really personal to me, like Asian American identity and mental health. And I think being able to talk at the intersection of those two conversations was cool. So I think like if there's something you're interested in, I think a lot of times like people are way more open to talking than like you might think they are. And there might be connections that you can make that you couldn't make by yourself. But yeah. Any other questions? Yes, Mr. Finnegan.
So, not a lot of students, I think, have the capacity to tackle a research project, especially after junior year, your junior thesis. So, my question's, I guess, in two parts. One, what would you say to encourage students who are thinking about their own kind of research project? Why would it be worth it to do that, regardless of what it might be? And two, how has this research project maybe changed or improved your attitude toward what research really is?
Okay. So actually at the beginning of even doing Capstone, like this is a little story, but like I think at the turn of the semester, like I almost went to Mr. Finnegan and I was just like, actually never mind, like I don't know if this topic that I want to do is really that much, and it seems like it'd be a lot and I'm not sure what I could say on it. And I was just kind of thinking like, oh, like maybe I should just make my life easier for the second semester senior year. But I think part of that was just second semester I was really tuning out. So this capstone project actually became something that I cared about and sort of kept me on a schedule, and I think that was good. So if you care for that second semester senior year, I recommend you do something like Capstone. But the other piece on like what I've really taken out of doing this experience, I think one piece of the research that I learned was like, I think I kind of mentioned this in my presentation, but at first, like I started my research by like reading a bunch of articles and research papers, and it was like really draining. But then I started to reach out to people and talk to people, and I realized that a lot of the, like I structured my research paper on all of those conversations, And I realized that sometimes that research piece, like, it's not just like writing the paper. It's like going out into your community and connecting with people. And I think that was really invaluable part of doing CAPS. And I think that's an experience that might sound more attractive than the idea of a research paper. So I think when it comes to Capstone, like, it can really expand your perspectives on what kind of experience it can be for you. And it's really something that you can personalize. But yeah. Yeah.
How would you compare your experiences when you were interviewing, professionals in the field versus, faculty members and students that you, see every day here?
I think something that's interesting is just that sometimes, like, people all brought up the same topics. Like, for example, like, I brought up the model minority myth in my presentation, and this is something that everyone was bringing up. So it's like, even though they're experts in the field, and then there are students who have no idea what they're talking about technically, like, they can all speak to this issue, and it was like something that was super interconnected. So I think being able to look at, like, sort of like every level, like, you realize that people are all experiencing this, and being able to connect that back is what's important. So yeah. Is that it? Okay, thank you.
Awesome. That concludes our 2 presentations for this block. Thank you all for coming.